Welcome to A Well-Designed Business with your host, LuAnn. LuAnn has a lifetime of experience building a multi-million-dollar business with her husband and cousin, and she knows the challenges you face in your interior design business. LuAnn brings you real-life answers to your most pressing problems, as well as practical strategies to explode your interior design business. So, let's get to the business of interior design.
Hi, welcome to another episode of A Well-Designed Business. Today on the show, I'm happy to have Austin Handler with me. Austin, with his wife, Jennifer Mabley, are the principals of Mabely Handler Interior Design. Mabely Handler Interior Design was founded in the Hamptons when Jennifer Mabley, already an accomplished interior designer in New York City, was commissioned to design and decorate a house in the estate section of Southampton Village on Long Island. The success of this project and the love of the area inspired Jennifer and her husband, Austin Handler, to relocate to Watermill full-time in 2002 and focus their interior design business on projects in the Hamptons. Over the last decade, Mabely Handler has grown to become one of the leading design firms in the Hamptons, and Jennifer and Austin's Hampton interior design work has been featured in numerous publications, including Hamptons Cottages and Gardens, Hamptons Magazine, Beach Magazine, Coastal Living, Lux Interiors and Design, Ocean Home, Traditional Home, The New York Times, The Daily News, and The New York Post, along with Newsday and on NBC's LXTV, Open House New York City, News 12, and the Discovery Channel. So if you were in High Point last week, then you also already know that Cravat Inc. launched their brand new line of furniture, which has been designed by Mabely Handler Interior Design. So today, Austin is going to share with us the backstory on the creation and the execution of this gorgeous new line of furniture. Stay with me a second while I tell you about our sponsor, and I'll be right back with Austin Handler. I'd like to thank my sponsor, Cherish, and to let you know about this gem of a resource. Cherish, which can be found at www.charish.com/trade, is the premier online marketplace where design pros just like you can go to source the best vintage decor and furniture. With more than 125,000 curated items for sale, Cherish makes it easy, fun, and fast for you to find stylish pieces at great deals to suit every client and every project. The items are ready to ship, hint, hint, which means no waiting, and Cherish offers a 2-day return policy. Here's some more good stuff. Cherish trade members enjoy special benefits, including cash back on every purchase, white glove delivery, and exclusive concierge service. Sign up for their trade program today at www.cherish.com/trade. Hi, Austin. Thank you for joining me on A Well-Designed Business today.
Hi, LuAnn. Thanks for having me.
Oh, I'm delighted to have you because you're another member of the Cravat Inc. family, which is I love. But you and your wife, Jennifer Mabley, are, as I said in the introduction, the owners of Mabely Handler Interior Design in the Hamptons. And we're going to talk a little bit about the Hamptons. That's my wheelhouse, the Hamptons. I do a lot of work myself in the Hamptons, and I have a lot of interior designers that I work with that are based in DC, in New York City, and we're always out to the Hamptons, and it's like its own little planet out there, isn't it, Austin?
It is. We really love it out here. We moved here from the city about 15 years ago, specifically because we wanted to have an interior design business working on Hamptons projects that was based in the Hamptons. It seemed like there was a real need for it. There were some local designers working out here, and but then there was a lot of people that were having their designers come back and forth from the city,
yeah.
And we just thought there was a real need to have a New York City caliber design firm that was based in the Hamptons, so that we could really oversee the projects that we worked on. And so that was a big reason why we moved out here, other than the fact that we love the area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the thing is about designing in the Hamptons is different. It has its own look and feel, of course, every single designer and every single home ends up looking different. I don't mean to imply that it's cookie cutter. It's not that at the very least. It's obviously extremely high-end luxury design at its best. But it has a vibe, right? It has a vibe. And tell us a little bit about working in the Hamptons. And, you guys had worked in the city and in Connecticut. What do you feel the differences are? And, of course, the lifestyle is different, which is why you chose to live there. But are there particular challenges with working in the Hamptons that are different that you recall from when you guys were designing in the city?
Not challenges. If anything, we feel like we have a little bit more freedom because a lot of the homes that we do out here are second homes, vacation homes for weekends, summer, and because it's a second home, a vacation home. Homeowners are more likely to be a little bit more creative, a little bit more adventurous,
Yeah.
take a little bit more risks. But they also have the mindset behind the homes that they want us to create out here. They want to create a space that's very calming, relaxing. It's their home away from home. But then they can also play with it because it's not their year-round house, so it doesn't have to be as functional as a year-round home does. It can be a little bit more whimsical. They can make, a little bit more bold statements than maybe they would at home. So if anything, it's we find it more freeing in terms of comparing that with full-time residents.
One of the things that I notice in project after project that we're involved in is a lot of it is about that gathering space, that common area, that great room feeling, that big kitchen, right? Because I mean, practically every project that I've been on, you just walk in and you can just feel the party that's going to come this summer at that house, right?
Exactly. I mean, we definitely have clients that want their home to be their retreat and have it be very calming. But many clients do want to have that quintessential Hamptons entertaining space. Whether it's friends or family, there's this vision of, as you said, sort of the open concept living room, great room type of space, having people flowing in and out, kids running around, hanging out in the kitchen cooking, people lounging watching TV, people on the back deck or patio swimming in the pool, sort of very inside outside transitional. It's absolutely an aspirational type of lifestyle.
And tell me about, I would say that there's probably a mind to, if not a challenge to, create the spaces that are truly beautiful and luxurious. But for Hamptons living, especially if the family is planning to have extended guests and relatives and family in and out all summer long, these spaces have to be durable. So it's not like designing for your private residence back in Manhattan where, how many people even entertain anymore? Everybody meets out at a restaurant, right? But these are spaces, like you just said, you're running in and out from the pool, in and out from the beach. So the floors have to have that in mind, but it can't look industrial. I mean, these are, every project I've ever been on in the Hamptons is truly luxurious, but the designer, at least from my experience, is always trying to marry that function. How do you guys approach? What kind of floors do you like, and that sort of a thing?
Well, it's very true. When you think of Hamptons homes from the 80s and even 90s, everyone can picture a Hamptons house with white slipcover sofas because it was fresh and with blue pillows, navy pillows. Quintessential Hamptons, because it was very relaxed and durable, and you didn't have to worry about it. And that still is a concern, as you mentioned. But on the flip side, people have really their interest in design, especially when you're dealing with people coming from New York City, New Jersey, Connecticut. All these areas are exposed to high design style. So even though this is a relaxing weekend house, summer house, they still want to be surrounded with with style
Mm-hmm.
and with sophisticated design. It's really transcended from the days of the white slipcover sofa.
Right.
There's other ways to accomplish that durability. It if you look at just for example, just looking at the realm of Sunbrella and other brands of outdoor fabrics. I mean, there's so many great stylish fabrics to choose from right now. Whereas, even 10 and 15 years ago, it was like primary colors. You could
And
get
awning
red, you could
stripe
get navy.
fabrics, period,
Exactly.
right?
And that was it. And maybe you could
Yeah.
get some piping on it. And that was about as designed as it could get. But
Mm-hmm.
just even from that point of view.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the other aspect is making sure that the furniture that they have is may have outdoor fabric on it sometimes as a way to make it feel more durable, but also to do furniture that itself, just from a stylistic point of view, isn't so delicate, isn't so, at least from the projects that we don't do a lot of fine antiques, just
Right.
because that
Right.
seems to be a more formal. And I'm sure there's people that have formal Hamptons homes that are filled with fine
Right.
antiques.
Right.
But at least to the design clients that are attracted to our aesthetic, they seem to really like the homes that we do with furnishings that are comfortable and clean lined, and stylish and
Mm-hmm.
and durable, and can take
Mm-hmm.
a kid running into the side of it with their scooter, or
Right.
a dog jumping up onto it.
Right.
We have to balance that line of beautiful and stylish, yet still family and pet friendly and pool friendly and beach friendly and
Exactly.
flop friendly.
Right. Exactly. Tell me a little bit, Austin, about breaking into interior design in the Hamptons. I mean, I would imagine, having had a successful track record in the city and in Greenwich, Connecticut, contributed and helped, but it is a community that, by and large, does bring their designer from, Manhattan or Connecticut or New Jersey with them. Not that everybody does. I don't know. There is no every or all or any in any conversation, right? But I don't know that I'm here in the suburbs of Manhattan in New Jersey, and it's not often that somebody imports a designer from another part of the country to here as often as it is. That I just got a call yesterday from a designer in San Francisco that I've worked with her previously on other projects, and she just said to me, I have a project in the Hamptons. Can you go out and measure next week? So that happens all the time. So
Yep.
you guys are going out there 15 years ago, and you're like, okay, we're going to move out here and we're going to open a design firm. I understand you have experience under you when you do this, but what did you do to break into that and to sort of put that barrier down that, hey, everybody, you don't have to, and I, look, I have so many friends and colleagues here in New York that I don't want to talk them out of business in the Hamptons, but you're legitimately starting a business. And that's one of the things I would think that you would have had to address, is that stereotype that you bring your designer with you. It's like, no, we're here. We're amazing. Was it I see that you've done a lot of the show houses. Was it show houses? What marketing ways did you break into that close-knit, high-end community that sort of like, we have a designer, thanks?
Well, there are two things that I think really contributed to the first was the project that we were working on out here. It was a project on Wyandanch Lane in the estate section of Southampton Village. Beautiful, beautiful house. It was the first project that we did out here, before we'd even fully moved out here.
Oh, so you were one of the New York designers that had a project in the
Yes,
Hamptons.
and it was what got us really interested in the area. The funny
Okay.
thing is, neither Jennifer or I ever did the Hamptons share house thing. We did not spend a lot of I'd actually, believe it or not, until Jennifer and I met, I'd actually never been out to the Hamptons. She'd been out, I think, once or twice, once for a wedding. It was just something that wasn't really on our radar as we were younger. But working on this project really got us to fall in love with the area. And because it was such a really such a stunning estate home that was designed and built from the ground up, and obviously decorated and furnished. Right from the start, we had a very, very good first project to show off our Hamptons
To
aesthetic.
create some buzz around and let the different people in the community, who is this Mabely Handler Interior Design?
Yes, so even though we may be newcomers out here, we had a project that represented our vision and our aesthetic, and we were able to put that out there in
It's like your
advertising.
very own show house.
Pretty much. So we were able to put that out there, and people saw that, and it led to work solely on that, because sometimes you hire someone because you've heard 20 people say, "Oh, these guys are amazing." Sometimes you discover somebody because you've seen one photo of one room they did and you connect with it. And fortunately for us, that's what happened. I mean, there were referrals from from previous clients, but it was really the imagery from this first project that really that put us on the map. That was So we were fortunate to have such a significant, visible first
And
project.
was it smooth sailing from there? Was that one project the type of thing where, and of course, at a project of that level, when that's the type of work you're doing, you probably only need one or two in the pipeline at any given time, maybe at different stages. So it's not like you need, you're not doing one-off guest bedrooms, but did it really just roll from there, Austin, or was like, okay, that was one great project, there's one phone call from it, and it took a couple of years for you to really be established as a designer in the Hamptons, or were there other things that had to happen in it?
So that project was great. That definitely brought us a nice steady stream of calls and work. But at the beginning, it was just Jennifer and I. So when I say steady stream, we were doing 2, 3, 4 projects at a time. That was great. We were able to handle that.
That's a lot of work for two people.
Yeah, we managed it. It was fun. Shortly after that, we did a show house. It was the first show house that Hamptons Cottages and Gardens magazine did, called the Idea House. And we did a media room. It was not one of not a lower level media room. They called it the media room. We really kind of designed it sort of as a den. And it was not a feature room, but it was on the first floor. And we liked it. We were really happy with it. And the New York Times, I guess, came through the house. We didn't know about it until after the fact, but they came through and covered the show house. And they ran 3 photos out of the whole show house. They ran 3 photos, only 3 photos from the house. It was on the front page of the House and Home section. 2 very small photos and 1 huge photo, and the huge photo was of the room that we designed.
Wow!
And so that was. The project that we did in the estate section of Southampton Village may have put us on the map, but from an exposure point of view, that really launched us. And then at that, very quickly we had to bring on, an assistant designer and a bookkeeper and to really handle the influx of work there. And and from that point on, there was a steady flow of work. But what's interesting is our design aesthetic is not exactly the same as it was then. It's really morphed, and as the longer that we've lived out here, the more that we've been inspired by other design and other furnishings and travels. Our design aesthetic was definitely more traditional when we first moved out here, it's sort of morphed into something a little more transitional. I feel like that's not coincidental. I feel like there's an overall trend that's moving that way. There's still people that love traditional, and there's certainly a very modern aesthetic movement that's happening. But there's a really large chunk of the middle part of the market that might have been more traditional 10 and 15 years ago that has really gravitated towards more of a transitional look, especially for a for a beach home, because it sort of combines the best elements of traditional and modern. It pulls in the clean lines of modern design, but the comfort of traditional design. So it's a great place to be as a working designer working in transitional, because you also have a lot of freedom. If you have a client that is a little bit more modern minimalist, you can easily swing it that way. And if if a client likes things that are a little more on the traditional side, it's very easy to swing it back towards there. Whereas if you really specialize in just traditional or just modern, it's sort of harder to reinvent that. It's harder to break out of that. It's more of a narrower niche,
which can be good. Narrow can be really good, especially if you're passionate about it. But it's for you and your firm, you like to cross the line a little bit more, have a little more flexibility. And I think that what you said in the beginning is very true. There are all different types of personalities coming out to have their spaces in the Hamptons, and some by far are second homes, but there are people that live there year round, and there's probably different approaches to a home that is lived in year round as opposed to a secondary home. So it's for you and for Jen, it's probably smart to be a little broader. So I like that. So I have one crazy question though about that New York Times article, and I don't know if you can answer it. I don't know if I should ask it, but I just wonder about, you specifically mentioned that your room was not a feature room. We all know the featured rooms when a show house is up. It's clear, and it's usually a designer who's paid their dues for many years waiting to get the tap on the shoulder to do the feature room. And when the New York Times decides which photograph is going to be the main photograph, that's completely subjective to them, right? That's not anybody saying, hey, use this photograph or use that. I mean, that just is like a stroke of luck and genius.
It's a combination of that, and to us, what it really was when there's not a PR machine behind it, where there's not, a person directing by submitting, here are the rooms we want to feature. What it really comes down to is,
compliment to your work, right?
It is. It's that obviously something we did there connected with the editor that walked through,
right?
And they decided that was the room that they liked.
Which I'm so thrilled for you. But if I were helping and working with the designer who waited 4 years to get the feature room, I would be heartbroken for that designer.
Well, here's the interesting thing about it is it's funny. After doing 2 or 3 show houses, 4 show houses, it's funny. Designers get together and they talk when you're doing a show house, when you're installing, and there's some designers that were very bitter, and they would say, "Oh, I don't know why I do these show houses. I never get any work from it." And anyone that's ever walked through a show house, of course, it's completely subjective, and there's something for everyone. But when you're designing a room in a Hamptons designer show house, our take on it was, we're going to design rooms that look like they belong in a Hamptons house that we would be designing for a client.
Right.
And
smart.
And there are other designers, and some of them coming from other parts of the country, that are designing in their aesthetic for their market, which in that respect may make sense for them in one context, but in the context of a Hamptons designer show house, where the people that are walking through it have come to the Hamptons to see a Hamptons show house, I feel like they probably want to see something that connects them to design in the Hamptons.
Right. And the thing is, now that's where the conversation of niche, it can be too narrow, because yes, okay, so the Hamptons is not this completely, white bread, milk, toast place that everybody is the same. But to your point, even so say you're a designer coming from, I don't know, Utah, right? And Utah has a look for the whatever. There might be 1 out of 100 people that would say, oh, I'd love to have this look in my Hamptons house, as opposed to 99 that are looking to design their home in the Hampton aesthetic. So you're exactly right. It's sort of, understand your market, and if you're going to accept a show house in a particular demographic, have your own, flair, have your own aesthetic, but have the nod to if your end goal is the business. Let's be serious. I mean, there's also the goal of just simply giving back to the community, being part of whatever charity is benefiting. But it's a pretty expensive endeavor not to hope for at least one or two projects from it, right? So tell me about that.
And we've always been lucky because again, we've always gotten great exposure and clients from from the rooms that we've done at show houses. So that it's again, it's my opinion that you should design a room that at least somewhat relates to the
space
area
for you. Yeah, yes, right.
But our experience, at least with the work and the rooms that we've done, is it's borne out. It's worked out for us that it does connect with people.
So tell me about that, the Hampton Aesthetic. So you have this line of furniture that you and Jennifer have developed with Cravat Inc. And it's I understand from you, it's born out of this Hampton Aesthetic in a way. Tell us a little bit about that, Austin.
Okay, so we've been a Cravat fabric and furniture customer for a while. We love their fabrics. I mean, they've got an amazing collection of fabrics, especially all the licensed fabric collections that they've brought in. It gives such a dynamic appeal to to have all these. It's sort of like a store within a store type of experience where you've got a great range of product, but depending on what you're looking for, you've got all these great design collections that if you like more of a fun, funky, wild aesthetic, you can shop a Jonathan Adler collection. If you like more common, soothing, you can shop a Barbara Barry collection. So we've loved that. We connected with that. Right from the start, and we've loved their furniture. And some of their pieces had a combination of upholstery with exposed wood finish parts of the frame, and we like that. We like combining materials. So we would use some of these pieces of furniture. There's one finish in particular that we liked. It was called Milk, and it was sort of like an off-white painted finish. It felt very fresh and beachy, and so that's the finish that we would use in whenever we ordered furniture. But a lot of their other finishes were a range from medium brown to dark brown to black, which work for 90% of the country loves that and designs with that day in and day out, and they love it. So it's not a surprise that that's what the majority of their finish choices were. But for us working in a coastal area, we were really attracted to more of these sort of lighter, fresher finishes. And over the last few years, you start seeing more interesting, more organic wood finishes, oak and walnut that's been cerused, that has sort of a driftwood feel. And so every now and then you'd see a furniture manufacturer that would put out a couple pieces in these interesting finishes. So I guess we started reaching out to more of these other these other finishes, furniture in these other finishes that we liked. And one day, a couple, and we go with what we're attracted to.
Right.
And so it's a funny story.
Don't tell anybody now.
Well, but here's what happened, and in retrospect, it's like such a great instinct. But our Brad Dull, our fabric and furniture rep from Cravat, came into our showroom, into our design studio, and asked if he could sit down and talk with us, and we said sure. And he said, "Guys, what's going on? Your furniture numbers are down. Are we doing something wrong? Is there a problem?"
Rep.
And and it kind of caught us off guard because it wasn't a conscious decision to stop doing Cravat furniture. It was just we loved what we had done with them, but because of the limitation of this the finishes
you were looking for,
we were just kind of going with new, fresher things that we saw. And so we sort of thought about it and said, well, no, it's, you're great. It's nothing to do with you. And
it's not you. It's me. No, it's not me. It's you. In
that case, it wasn't him. It was us.
Right.
We explained this, and he said, well, do you want me to, put together a meeting with, let's get you together with our with our designers and see if you can give them some feedback. And Jennifer said, or we could just skip that step and design a furniture line.
Go, Jen.
And Brad said, "What, do you want me to see if I can set up a meeting?"
That's a different meeting, but I can work on that one too.
Exactly. And we kind of laughed because we said, well, as we've known the Kravets for a while, and we probably could have picked up that phone ourselves and called for a meeting to pitch a furniture line. But the irony is we'd had this idea of doing a furniture line in our heads, just, in the back of our minds, like we should take some time, maybe on vacation and really just start sketching out, a furniture line, because we had ideas of what we like. And it was one of these things that, literally
the someday project, right? Yeah.
Yeah. The someday that never came.
Right. Right.
But this literally was a back of our mind, thought for 5 or 6 years, and we never managed to sit down and have that time to sketch and to pull a line together. So we laughed and said, "Okay, Brad, set that meeting up." And he called us back within a couple of days and said, "I've got your meeting set up with Lisa Cravat and Mary Ellen Walsh, the head of furniture for Cravat. Are you available in a couple of weeks?"
Wow.
And we said, "Sure, yeah, we could come in and talk." And so we did, and it was, we weren't pitching anything specific. It was just a conversation about if we were going to do something, what it would look like, what we liked, what we saw in terms of trends, what our aesthetic was, and what we talked about was our design work in the Hamptons and what we are the types of
the
projects
gaps that you felt were in their line, right?
And well, it was really more. It didn't even start out so much about the gaps as it did about what we're attracted to, what we like, where we see the finishes that we're attracted to, and then it was sort of brought into what they had within their line that we had been working with. And why it stopped at that point, and which of course led to the conversation about the finishes. But what was great was in the conversation, Mary Ellen especially, we definitely seem to be seeing the same things. These cerused oak finishes that we talked about, that we were really attracted to, but done in a refined way. So it was that balance of a sophisticated quality furniture, but that had a visual reference to driftwood and to the beach without hitting you over the head with I'm beach furniture,
right.
Buy me for your beach.
Right. Yeah.
We all seem to be very much on that same page. That was a good direction. And we also mentioned that we like the combination of upholstery and wood and metal detail, just to give the furniture sort of very rich, luxurious textured feel. Even grass cloth. We'd been doing some furniture with lacquered grass cloth or that had elements of grass cloth on it. Some lacquered furniture that had lacquered grass cloth tops.
So the success of this meeting depends on your two abilities to create this vision that Lisa and Mary Ellen could relate to and see where it was going. And of course, as interior designers, I'm not even at all unsure or unclear that you were able to do that. But it also depended on them understanding a need for this. And I mean, look, you're
Absolutely.
A coastal community, but there's an entire coast on both sides of our country, let alone wherever else, they're servicing. So, but to make a financial investment in it and everything else. So start to get us down that line. So us to.
It was our reputation, and success in the Hamptons that
right.
We like to say got us in the door, but what got us to the next meeting was the concepts that we were talking about. And the Hamptons it's an area that we work in, but Hamptons is also an aspirational lifestyle,
right,
that people in other parts of the country aspire to try to
emulate
recreate
it
sometimes,
right, yes.
and it might not be in their whole house, but we have a friend that that previously lived in Dix Hills in the middle of Long Island, in a suburban setting. But her master bathroom, when they renovated their house, she wanted to have her Hamptons bathroom.
Absolutely. I can't tell you the number of times we actually use that description. I'll be at a client here in New Jersey or whatever, and they'll say, I want my bedroom to look like the Hamptons. I want my great room to look like the Hamptons. It's a verb now. It's an adjective or whatever the hell it is. Right?
It is, because it does capture that concept.
Your brain gets a whole vision when you say that.
It's a summer destination. Yeah. It's relaxing, but it's stylish and sophisticated.
It's high sophistication. Exactly.
Yes, it really does encompass a design aesthetic that doesn't have to just live out here. It can live anywhere. So and because Cravat is a worldwide company, they understand that there are trends that do carry nationally and globally. It's not just a regional trend. But with what we talked about, and a big part of this, which I'll touch more on later, was doing something that was evocative of the Hamptons, but still had versatility to work in other markets. And we mentioned that, and I think that was obviously a big part of it. So at the end of the meeting, we all seemed like we're very much on the same page. And the next step was they asked us to design, to sketch out and present a lifestyle collection of furniture, encompassing, living, bedroom, dining, our whole vision for, keeping in mind, the projects we do, what would we design for a project that we do. So this was, May, June that this happened, and we worked on it over the summer. This was 2015, over the summer of 2015, and met back with them in September and presented our sketches and our concepts for the collection. And it's funny, we were in the meeting at their headquarters in Bethpage. It's about an hour and a half away from here. So we drove in for that. We set the room. We brought in hydrangeas and made
full
our
court
pitch.
Press.
We were selling the Hamptons aesthetic. So,
I love it.
We've got to sell it to them first before they can sell it to everyone else. And it seemed like it went really well. And
Wait, so I have to wait. You brought the hydrangeas as a mood enhancer to their spaces in Long Island. Is that what you just said?
I'm sorry?
You said you brought hydrangeas into their space in Long Island to set the mood of the Hamptons. Is that what you said?
Yes. Yeah, we absolutely.
What'd you say? Could you guys all step out of your own office while we set it up, please?
No. We were meeting in a conference room, and we got there early, and we brought, a scented candle from the Hamptons, and we brought hydrangeas in, and we even set the lighting in there, so it felt very.
I love it. Talk about how to pitch.
Okay. I mean, we're unscrewing fluorescent light bulbs, and replacing them with
bring shells and little sand and put it on the table.
Those are things that were discussed in earlier, in concept meetings, and we didn't go quite that far. But we brought in enough of the Hamptons.
Were you in your bathing suits with a towel slung over your shoulder?
It was September. We could have pulled it off. If it was January, that would have been completely
That's
unacceptable.
Awesome. People talk about being like bodacious in their pitches and to really set yourself apart and make an impression. And what I think is interesting about it, and that's why I kind of stopped you on it a second, is because you have a lot of open doors already, and you still go to that level to create that ambiance and create the effectiveness of your pitch. I mean, you have a personal, whatever level, but you have a personal relationship with the owners of Cravat. You've been invited to pitch them about a furniture line, and you still go to that level. That's pretty awesome, and obviously it worked.
Well, the funny thing about it was, again, it seemed like it all went well. I mean, we felt like we nailed it, and in the hour and a half drive home, we're all talking in the car, and we said, well, I don't know, the last thing they said was, oh, this is great, thank you for coming, and we'll be in touch. And so we're talking in the car, and we said, well, there's nothing else we could have done. I mean, we put it all out there. We set the stage. We presented, the best of our vision of what we would do for a furniture line. And we said was, listen, if it doesn't work out here, that'll be disappointing. But the great thing is we've got everything packaged. We can
Right.
start shopping this around. We're trying to temper our expectations.
Rationalize yourself, right? Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just,
Cushion the fall in case it comes.
and so we get back to our design studio, and we're catching up all the other
You're
design.
unloading the hydrangeas.
I mean, we haven't really said. No, we left them the hydrangeas. We left them.
Oh, that was a nice touch.
Wanted the mood to linger. So I mean, we hadn't even sat down. We're talking for 5-10 minutes about what how it all went down. They all want to know all the details. And in the middle of this conversation, the phone rings, and it's Mary Ellen from Cravat, and she says, "Okay, you ready?" And we're sort of pausing,
it's like the jury came back. Is it good? It's faster.
We're expecting, when she says, "Are you ready?" We're expecting, the next thing to say, "Here's the list of 12 things that you need to refine and adjust, right? For your round 2 pitch." So we're like, okay. And she's like, okay, so we're going to have it manufactured in North Carolina at this production facility here. And it's going to be a 2017 launch, and we're going to do this. And we're like, wait, it's happening.
That's what I love about them. I have to tell you, I love everything about Cravat and Cravating, but that is one of my most favorite things about them. There's that corporate massaging and let's talk about it for 100 years and I'll get back to you and my people will call you people. It's like, if this is a good idea, let's do it. It's not a good idea, let's not do it. I just love it. It's like no company I've ever worked with at that large a level, like that big of a machine. Do you know what I mean? They literally are what they say, a big company that's family owned and run like a little mom and pop shop to some extent in that way. It's the most amazing, it's a cool thing. So that's so amazing. And
the funny thing about that was a week or two later, we were talking to Brad and we said, Brad, you know the company on the other end of it. Am I crazy? Is it crazy that this happened so quickly? And he said, he talked and he sort of did a little research. He's like, guys, here's the deal. The same way you guys have been desperate for more of a coastal aesthetic in furniture and finishes, apparently other sales reps had been hearing that from their clients, and so all these salespeople are coming back in, bombarding, their managers
team,
with, we need more of a corporate, we need more of a coastal,
right.
Look, we need more coastal finishes, we need more coastal furniture. So this is going on in
multiple markets.
In one ear of the Kravets,
yes, and
in the other ear is, hey, there's a design firm in the Hamptons that wants to design a coastal collection.
Yeah.
So it was. And I think this brings us to the other amazing part was we'd had this idea for 5 or 6 years to do a coastal Hamptons inspired furniture collection. And if we'd called Carrie Cravat 5, 6, 7 years ago,
he probably would have said,
he said, I'll think about it, maybe.
We'll still have dinner next week, but not going to do it.
Right. But exactly. It's entirely possible that's how it could have gone down.
Right.
But because of the timing of it, because
everything lined up,
because we're not, we're in the Hamptons, but it's not just a Hamptons bubble.
No,
I mean,
exactly.
There's there are bigger design trends that transcend that,
right.
And because the people had been craving it, and because Cravat specifically had been servicing a market that was at one point very happy with various shades of brown furniture.
Well,
they
one
were
of
doing
the things
well
that
for a long time, but they were smart enough to listen to their salespeople and understand that there was a gap in what they were offering it, and there was an opportunity to fill that. And it's just very, very fortunate that we all had that conversation at the time.
No, I love it. And the thing is, it sounds like to me, I'm going to infer from the conversation earlier that because Cravat had been a go-to company for you for your furniture and for most of your projects, and like you said, your numbers slipped off, your purchases slipped off, not because you were, over time or even suddenly unhappy with the quality or unhappy with the delivery or unhappy with customer service. You were needing a different aesthetic. So for you, and I understand coming back and, driving back and thinking, all right, well, we've got it all together and we could pitch it somewhere else if this doesn't work. But it sounds like to me that this is and would have always been your first choice to do the collaboration,
it was.
Right? Yeah.
We did have, for the years that we were talking about this, it's funny. I remember Cravat invited us to a dinner at I think it was a Prime in Huntington, for some of their top customers, and this is probably, it's got to be 6-7 years ago, and we sat down and we were talking to Carrie, and we even mentioned at the time we actually mentioned a line of outdoor furniture, that we wanted to do, and he's like we were doing outdoor furniture, we got out of it, and so it was disappointing, but it was that conversation that we had at dinner that that we had Cravat in mind, the whole time. It was, as I'm fond of saying, at the list of furniture companies that we would have pitched this to, Cravat was at the top in the number one position, and there was a lot of empty space, and then a bunch of people, tied for 32nd place,
right. Well, because they do things differently. I know they're my show sponsor, and I, say to my listeners all the time, when I tell you this, it's not because they're my sponsor. It's because they do things differently. And so the process, and I've interviewed Candice Olson and Barclay Butera and Mary Fisher and Elizabeth Lemon and Denise McGahey. These are all people that have had collaborations with Cravat, and literally one after another has expressed the creative process and also the business process of it as just being so particularly satisfying. And look, I have the off-air conversations too. Do you know what I mean? It is without a doubt literally repeated. And so for you guys, having had many years experience specifying their furniture, to have them as your number one place, of the number one spot that you'd love to collaborate and create a furniture line with, it doesn't surprise me. So tell us a little bit. So now that's quick. It's that you're talking about, we're recording in April of 2017, and this was decided as a birth of a product line in September of 2015. That's like 17, 18 months ago. So it's out. You were just recently at High Point Market, and the products were there, and they're gorgeous, and they're just amazing.
Thank you.
Yes, and they're coming to the showrooms. By the time this is airing, it could be the same week or the week before or whatever. But right now, everybody listening, if it's within days, if you weren't able to be at High Point, that you could see it in the showrooms. What I don't know, and I didn't think to ask.
It is on their website.
Of course, it's on the
so
website, exactly. I didn't think to ask anybody before I had the conversation with you. Does a launch like this happen in every Cravat showroom, Austin, or is it particular showrooms throughout the country? Like, how does that work? I didn't think to ask anybody before you were on.
From what I understand, they look at the market, and so we'll be in a bunch of showrooms, but not everyone. I don't know how many showrooms they have.
So probably more of the showrooms on the coast.
Exactly. So some of them, they talked about
serious.
California. They talked about Boston. They talked about Naples.
Right. Okay. Makes sense.
But also, I believe the Denver showroom is getting some, because again, and I touched on this a little bit, but with the finishes that we developed, they certainly were inspired by the coast. But we did a range of colors in the finish, so that this furniture could skew to a mountain house.
Right, right. Resort. It's like resort, like lakeside or mountain or whatever. Right?
It is, but there's also pieces and there's also finishes where if you do certain combinations, it can work beautifully in a sophisticated Manhattan apartment.
Of course.
And the versatility of the wood finishes, the metal finishes, the grass cloth choices were all arrived at to give us. To give this collection maximum versatility for for us, because we've got to be able to do these furniture pieces different ways, and we don't want to do the same bedside table for every client that we do from now in the next 5 years.
Right.
We
Not
want to
going to
be
get
able
too
to
many
do it
clients
different.
that way, right?
Of course not. So in the same way that we want versatility for our projects, we know that as a design community, designers are in different regional markets. They want to have versatility, and also designers like to put their own stamp on things. So we may design something a certain way, and we've done this with Cravat furniture, where we've requested a different finish, or we've added nail heads to something, or we've done piping that was not the way it comes standard, but it was available. So designers put their touches on things. So we tried to create options sort of within the program that were options that could be selected right off the bat, rather than have all of these things be sort of custom add-ons, just to give designers versatility.
Yeah. Now, Austin, tell me something. I know why. I can make my imagination understand why Cravat would have been first on your list all those years, even when it was just a someday project to develop a line of furniture. Tell me why Cravat was always first on the list for you and Jennifer. Was it the quality? Was it the delivery? Was it the customer service? Why were they your number one dream place to collaborate with?
It honestly was a combination of things. Certainly quality, certainly customer service. That's always been fantastic. But one of the things that got us using Kravat's furniture so much was the fact that they had a very, very easy to work with custom program. Whereas every when you downloaded or looked at a tear sheet on a product, you didn't just see the picture of the product and the size that it came in. There was a whole other section of line drawings, which you probably can picture, that showed you the different stitching options in the cushion. It showed you the different arm options that you could easily swap out to a track arm, a roll arm. It showed you, if you had a wood stretcher, it showed you the different legs that you could choose from. It showed you where you could add nail heads. Just what I talked about. As a designer, you want to be able to customize. You want to be able to put your stamp on it. You want to be able to change things for your customer that swings a little bit more traditional. You're going to do a roll arm. For your customer that swings a little bit more modern, you're going to do a track arm. You can tweak these things. You don't have to keep finding 20 different sofas from 20 different vendors. You can work with the 4, 5, 6 frames that they had that we really loved, and just keep customizing them.
Okay. And it's easy within their system to do it. You don't have to have this big long conversation calling your rep and saying, can I this, can I that? You just click, 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 move it around, and basically build your furniture on the website.
And when you're getting a quote, it's like, oh wow, I've got to see if we can add to depth. I don't know.
Let me call you back in 100 years.
It's like they take the note, and it's all factored into the to the price. They're very smart in terms of from the
and that's time is money. When you're out there and you're doing a project, I don't care if it's a one person's living room and it's 500 square foot apartment or whatever it is, or it's a 25,000 square foot home in the Hamptons. Every little piece of the thing bogs down the project. And so when you can go on and you can, like you said, as a designer, express yourself and completely customize the furniture portion of a project to your client's, aesthetic, without all of that back and forth and let me check the workroom and let me get back. It's just like click, put the nail heads in, click, take them out, put them in, boom, price, boom, put that fabric on and take it. And they COM too. I mean, of course, we love and prefer when we use the Cravat fabric because the delivery is even that much quicker and faster and easier and the pricing is right there. But for anybody listening, it could be COM fabric too, right, Austin?
It can, and that's part of the reason that you
get the Cravat quality furniture. You don't have to be limited.
Well, that's true, but 95% of the time we use their Cravat fabric for two reasons. One, because they have an amazing selection, but two, because they grade the cost of the fabric into the furniture.
Makes it so much easier.
It makes it's if you try and do COM, if you really love the frame and you really love a fabric from another company, and that's what you want to do for your client, absolutely. I'm not.
Right. You still get their quality, but you're right.
You still get the quality, but
infinitely
from
easier
a cost
with the
point of
billion.
View, Exactly. They
Right.
have such a huge selection. We almost always can find something
Right.
that that we're inspired by and works with what we're doing.
And
So
what I love is anybody who goes and looks at your website after this discussion will understand that, you are truly, you and Jennifer, doing some really fabulous, amazing design out there. And for anybody thinking that if you can find an appropriate fabric for every project that you put a piece of furniture in, then of course, I don't think there's any, reason to think that, oh, I'm limited. It's like, no.
no, limited is not a word that I would use to describe walking through Kravet's showroom at the D&D looking for
Right.
fabric.
Right.
It's certainly not a feeling of limitation.
No. It's awesome. And so tell me about it. How you must be very happy. You had a great week at High Point, right? I'm surprised you're back already, actually. Some people are still there, I guess, traveling today, but you guys must have snuck out of there a day early.
Yeah, we got in Thursday afternoon. We set up, talked to some people Friday, did some final tweaking. We had a bunch of media appointments on Saturday and Sunday where we talked to market editors from all the design magazines, large and small. We had one day on Monday to run around and see some other other vendors and
do some work for your design firm.
and see what else was out there, and then we had to come back and work because the majority of our clients are
gearing up now. Yeah, you got to get ready.
For the summer. And
yes,
there's a little catchphrase that designers and builders and architects and anyone working on homes, even real estate agents that are working with homes in the Hamptons is fond of repeating, and that's in by Memorial Day.
That's it. Oh my God, that's it.
If you're not in by Memorial Day,
forget about it.
It's like the clock is ticking. So,
and I'm going to tell you what else too. As vendors, because we, like I said to you, we service a lot of projects in the Hamptons. As vendors, I have 3 live projects now that we've been producing and fabricating the window treatments for over the last couple of months, and the one new one starting. And I'm pushing. I'm like, are you ready for install? Are you ready for install? Because first of all, I want to make the commitment in by Memorial Day. You're exactly right. But second of all, after Memorial Day, it's a 3-hour ride for me to send my installer to the Hamptons. After Memorial Day, it could be 4 or 5 hours each way. Sure. So as vendors, we want you in by Memorial Day. Like, I don't want my trucks going out after Memorial Day.
It's a win-win or a lose-lose for everybody.
And of course, because everybody's like, well, could you install on Friday? I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. No, I cannot install.
How about Wednesday? Wednesday's looking wide open.
It's the truth. It's like, okay, let me have my guys in the truck for 8 hours. we end up putting them up overnight usually for if we have a 2-day or 3-day install, because they're spending 6 hours driving. It's insane. But and that was that designer from San Francisco. She just said the same thing to me. She goes, well, if we start now, when do you think we could be up? And I was like, oh my God, Memorial Day's in 4 weeks. I'm like, I cannot be done in 4 weeks. I haven't even measured the thing. You haven't got me fabric. And I'm like, I said, look, I'll do it as fast as I can. I promise you, it's in my best interest not to be high season out there either.
Right. So we know a lot of deliveries will have their trucks come the night before, and they literally sleep in the truck so they can install in the morning.
Oh, well, I don't think my guys are going to go for that. They're like, set me up in a hotel, Lou. So, yeah, they're not sleeping in any trucks, but I could try that. I could see what my partner Billy thinks about that.
Oh, I wouldn't ask anyone to do it. I just know these truckers that they're on a schedule, but they kind of have to, they've got to deliver by day, and they do what they can to get there. And
exactly,
they know the best times to drive. They much rather be driving out here, late at night.
Yes. Now, there are particular challenges with working in the Hamptons. I mean, just the road in. Once you finally, it's like, oh my goodness, this one road in. And then there's also the $17 sandwiches. Let's not forget that part of working in the Hamptons. I'm like, this was your lunch bill? Three guys, like $100. They're like, it was delicious. I'm like, that's awesome. It's a very lovely community.
That's the burden, that you face in living and working in a resort destination.
Yes.
I mean, anyone that's ever visited Nantucket will probably think that Hampton's prices are cheap.
Exactly. Oh, but no, it's a nice place to work. It's almost like when you drive in, it just, everything just comes down a level. It's like, oh, okay, I'm breathing now. You know what I mean? It's just a very beautiful community. And I think that your furniture line that you and Jennifer have developed with Cravat is really extraordinary. And of course, I'll be posting pictures of it all day in the social media feed on the day your show is live, and for everybody to see. I've been very involved in all the social media with the High Point launch this week, and one of the designers tagged me, and she's like, "LuAnn, this is for you. I'm at the the Cravat opening with the the Mabely Handler furniture, because she knows I'm totally in love with Cravats."
I saw that. I saw that post.
I know, right? So, but I'm looking forward to seeing it in the showrooms myself. I can't wait till, to see it too. And I wish you a lot of luck with it. I know that's not even necessary with the Cravat family and the Cravat quality and their engine behind you. There's no way that this isn't going to be a successful line between your guys, your design and your ingenuity and what they bring to the table with it. It's, it's bound to be a success, and I wish you a lot of luck with it, Austin.
Thank you. We're really excited for people to start seeing it and even to start using it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the after the nearly 2 years of development, it's Mary Ellen jokes. It's like birthing a baby, and
Yes.
All of our babies are finally here, and we get to we get to play with the babies.
It's true, right? It's such a on one hand, it's such a short period of time to put something together like that, but on the other hand, day to day and doing it, it is like it is. It is just like having a baby. When you get pregnant, you're thinking, "Oh my God, can 9 months go by? Come on!" And then all of a sudden, you're like, "Holy moly, it's here!"
Exactly.
So
it was great seeing it in the showroom. It's we went down to their factory and got to see the various prototypes, and that's something I have to say in part of the whole process. It's been, and you touched on this a little bit before, but not having, I mean, Jennifer had designed a line of furniture for a furniture store in Soho that she had years ago, but she was just designing sketches, and a upholsterer was making the frames, and this was a completely different operation. So we didn't really know what to expect, but what was amazing was that at every step of the way, just seeing, dozens of people all bringing their expertise and us going from sketches to CAD drawings to working with Mary Ellen and the furniture team at Cravat. It's funny, when we were down there and I was looking at the furniture pieces, just about everything that we designed for the collection, I think with the exception of one or two things, but everything was on the floor. There's only so much room they have, but we got just about everything on the floor. And I was kind of going through my mind thinking like, okay, what's not here that we're not showing that we still have to see. But what that led to was it made me jump back to what didn't make the collection. There's some pieces that we designed that didn't make the collection, and it was part of working with Mary Ellen and the furniture team of, here are all of our sketches of, 35 different pieces of, furniture, and looking at all those. And we loved everything. I mean, if you'd said, have to eliminate
like picking the kid, right?
These, let alone 10, right. Yeah. I mean, you're really going to decide what kid to disown? When I look back on that, she was so instrumental in taking all the sketches out and say, okay, start grouping them together. Start grouping your sofa and your chairs.
Her expertise was so clear to you, right?
What coffee table goes with that? What goes with this? So she had almost grouping like little collections within the collection. And so that was an exercise that we did. And then there was, a half dozen things that, didn't clearly fit in any of those scenarios. And so
Oh,
she sort of looked at us and sort of like held her arms out saying like,
yeah.
I said
It's the
I said you have
postmaster's
to
kid.
eliminate things. Right. And we looked at it. And of course, our initial reaction was sad because every piece was like, oh,
Oh,
I can't imagine not having this, little, metal framed lacquered grass cloth side table.
right.
But so as I was walking around the showroom in High Point, I was looking at everything and I forced myself to bring to mind all of the pieces that didn't make it
Yeah.
and imagine them in the room. And it was she was dead
She was right.
on.
She
There were
was
all
right.
things. There were nice pieces,
Right.
and could
Beautiful.
have been in a different collection, could have been something else.
It could be your
But
next
for the
collection.
it didn't belong with that, and that was the first half of really seeing the value that working with a company like Cravat brought, is that they really, I mean, we know aesthetically what we were looking for, but they know how to package a collection and to merchandise it, and also there was some pieces that we brought, that we designed, and they said, we've got something similar already.
Okay. Right.
We don't want to compete with that,
Duplicate it.
right?
Yes.
And
Yeah,
of
yeah,
course
yeah.
we don't. Or she said, we've got something that's like that that's coming.
Well, you know what this
So
expertise reminds me of? It's the expertise that you as an interior designer perform for your client. That's exactly it. I mean, as an interior designer, you narrow down, you curate, you put together a room for somebody. And how many times have you had a client say, I really, 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 really want this piece, this chair, whatever. And you just look at them and you're like, sweetie, it doesn't work in the space. Like, what are we doing here? And then when it's all done, they look at you and are like, oh, thank God I listened to you.
Yeah.
And
How
that's
did you know it wasn't going to work?
And that's the
No.
joy of working with a professional. And Mary Ellen is clearly expert, professional at curating the pieces together, and like you said, understanding it from not just a aesthetic standpoint but a marketing standpoint. It sounds like to me she could understand the value of a particular piece of furniture that you designed that was beautiful, but how is she going to market it? How is it going to fit into something that other designers can come in and see it fitting within a collection? And that's a very critical process. And that's how lucky for you, because you guys, if you were out on your own doing something or with a lesser experienced team of furniture manufacturers, could have just willy-nilly put everything out there, and you'd be right. You'd be with those 4 orphans over there, the postmaster's kids, and nobody's buying them. And you'd be like, they're beautiful.
Completely. And then the other side of that is from their factory point of view, is taking our sketches, and we're not building furniture. We look at furniture, we
right,
put down on
transform it
paper
into
what
something
we like.
that's real.
But they've got to structurally build these things. So there was one of our sofas that we showed with a sort of a very wide wooden face across the front of the sofa. And they were looking at that, but structurally they couldn't do that.
They're thinking it's going to warp, or how am I going to get a piece of wood every single time that's going to go that length and be of quality, right?
No, it actually wasn't that, because we have large pieces of wood in other places.
Oh, okay.
In this particular case, it had to do with the depth of the deck of the sofa, and being able to have their 8-way hand tied spring system, which is, from a quality point of view, it's very important. They want to do that on all of their sofas, and they said we could do this with just sort of like more of like a foam deck, in order to accommodate that large wooden face. But we'd really, from a quality point of view,
we're not giving
really
up the quality.
recommend our customers expect a certain level of quality. And it was one of those great collaborations where, like, yes, if we were a prima donna designer, we could have put our foot down and said, no, I must have our 6-inch wooden face on it. But when everyone brings their expertise, and we understand that there's a quality aspect and a production aspect, we all looked at it and said, okay, well, yeah, so how much would we minimize that? And we looked at that, and then it ended up getting brought down to, I think maybe it was 2 or 2.5 inches, but they matched the exact width of the wooden frame on the side. So aesthetically it looks beautiful, and maybe even better than it would have looked had we done the wider frame. And it has the 8-way hand tied spring, so So everyone gets
right. It's not a smoke and mirrors sofa. It's not all looking good and then it's not going to last you 15, 20 years like it should, or 30 years, whatever it is. You know what I mean? It's going to be quality built first and then apply your vision to it second where it fits, right?
But how great that, that
you work together to get there.
They all brought that. They didn't just say, "Oh, that's what you want. Okay, we'll build it," and then and then hold up their hands and say, "Well, people think it's not comfortable. Well, we did what you drew."
No. See, they run a business first too. They have a customer service department, but they don't want to really keep it that busy.
Exactly. No, that's the thing from a quality point of view, and that's the nice thing about working with a company that's producing a line of quality furniture is that they want it to last, and they want to make sure that they're not getting returns. It's funny. So all the furniture is made with solid quarter sawn and cerused white oak. It's the creme de la creme of oak. And when we went down there to look at the prototypes, as we were looking at them, and I sort of lifted some pieces up and moved them around. It was heavier than the furniture that I'm used to seeing. And I had to pull someone aside, and it was actually Mary Ellen. I said, "Mary Ellen, this furniture is really heavy. Is this?" And it's just because you get accustomed to sometimes seeing furniture out there that's maybe not the best quality. Right. We had to have a whole conversation. I said, "Is this going to be a problem? Are people going to say, 'My God, my sofa, my club chair is too heavy'?" And she laughed. She said, "No." She said, "People are going to appreciate the quality of this." She said, "I understand what you're talking about." She said, "This is very well made furniture, but
she's like, no."
The benefits of the quality that come along with it far outweigh the fact that it may surprise some people that it is so solid. But I mean, the word she used for it is heirloom. These are heirloom quality pieces. This is not disposable furniture that you get sick of for 5 years and chuck out.
Right.
So that's the hope that it will be enjoyed for many, many years.
Yeah. Well, I'm 100% sure of it. It's the truth. It's everything they do it at just a little bit better level. That's the truth. So
yeah, and that's why it's been such a pleasure working with them.
Well, I think it's awesome, and like I said, I really do wish you a lot of luck, but I don't think you're going to need it.
Well, I'll take it either way. Thank you.
Yes. Well, I thank you so much for being on the show today and talking about the process of having the furniture line come to life and about the reasons why that you are happy and were preferring to work with Cravat. I just think that any time that I have an opportunity to speak to people that have worked with Cravat, to me, it's like, talking with my tribe. I love it. So
that's great.
Yeah. So, well, you have a great day. Thank you so much for being on the show.
It's my pleasure. Thanks so much for having me.
My great thanks to the featured sponsor of our podcast, Cravat Inc. Of all the terrific things about Cravat, do you know about CuratedCravat.com? I know you've heard me tell you all about it for this last year and a half, but have you taken a minute to really go and look and check out CuratedCravat.com yet? You have to see this collection of the most unique, high-quality finished products for the home. The collection includes furniture, lighting, bedding, rugs, accessories, and more. It is so comprehensive. It features customized designs as well as unique hand-picked pieces from the global design market. CuratedCravat.com is available exclusively to the trade. That's right. No direct consumer purchasing. They have your back at Cravat Inc. And have you checked out the innovative ready-to-ship upholstery program? This is groundbreaking in our industry. Where else can you find someone that delivers custom quality furniture fast? I'll tell you where else. Nowhere else. You see, it's the combination custom, quality, and fast. That is at CuratedCravat.com. You can shop the site by product category, by stylized product stories, and through the curated rooms designed by the industry tastemakers. At CuratedCravat.com, they are committed to making your job more efficient by providing unmatched customer service coupled with an exceptional product offering. Cravat Inc. stands firm in their mission to serve the interior design trade at the very highest level. And the last and one of the most fabulous features is the process is so simple. That's right. Design, click, deliver. Easy as that. One last thing. Cravat Inc. has a thank you to you as a listener of the podcast. If you are on the site and you are ready to make a purchase, any one purchase, you can get 10% off as their thanks to you. Enter the code CKPodcast at checkout for 10% off any one purchase. Well, I do thank them very much, and I really do hope that you will take a moment to see how CuratedCravat.com can help you run your business more efficiently. So I'm wondering how many of you were at High Point last week and saw this beautiful line in person. Like I said to Austin during the show, I know Jenny from Black Ink Interiors in Arizona was there because she took pictures and posted them on Instagram and tagged me in them. That was too much fun. Thanks, Jenny, for doing that. If you took pictures too, and maybe you have some left to post, put them up. Tag me, tag Cravat Inc., and tag Mabely Handler. We'd love to see them, and we'd please love to hear your thoughts about the line. And if you weren't at High Point, no fears. The furniture is actually in the showrooms now. And the thing is, on May 17th, it's CuratedCravat.com that is revealing the completely designed and styled living room by Mabely Handler Interior Design, using 100% of the items sourced through CuratedCravat.com. And mark a reminder on your calendar, because on June 14th, CuratedCravat.com is revealing the bedroom designed by Mabely Handler Interior Design. So please be sure to stop by at CuratedCravat.com and check these out. Now, I want to share some of the business takeaways from this episode with you. The first is from the Mabely Handler perspective. I love that they followed their passion and they packed up and relocated their firm to the Hamptons. This is to be admired, both from a perspective of business, but also from a quality of life category. They truly wanted a different lifestyle and a different business model, and they trusted their instincts, picked up and went and did it, and look what they've created. The other thing was that Austin expressed when participating in a show house, his advice is to design rooms that appeal to the design aesthetic of the demographic where the show house is drawing its visitors from. He said, he didn't say this, I'm saying this. This is no time and place for a vanity project, right? You have to make sure that the show house is worth the time, the money, and the resources you devote to that. And one way of doing that is to evaluate the area that the visitors will be from and skew your design. You don't give up your creative, core to your soul look, but his advice is at least consider where you are. And I like it. It's good advice. The other thing about Mabely Handler is that when opportunity knocked, they went pounding through the door. Their sales rep, Brad, suggested a meeting with Cravat to simply give feedback on furniture design, and Jennifer did not hesitate. She said immediately, how about we just present you with the furniture line? I love that. Way to go. And lastly, that pitch to Cravat. I mean, seriously, trucking in hydrangeas and scented candles that smell like the beach. Oh my goodness, that is inspired, and I love it. Now, some of my thoughts about it from the Cravat Inc. side. Let's start with the sales rep, Brad. Brad was proactive. He was not afraid to ask a loyal customer why they were not ordering as much as they previously had. This is a critical lesson. Never assume why your clients haven't come back. Be a grown-up and ask them why they haven't returned. You never know what you'll hear. It might not be what you think. Like in the case of Brad and Mabely Handler Interior Design. The worst that can happen is that you get feedback about poor performance by yourself or your staff or your extended vendor team. But isn't it much better to know this so that you can correct these things, even if that particular client is not salvageable, like future clients? And guess what? Like Brad, you might find that with a little ingenuity, things can get right back on track. I mean, I would say things are right back on track for Brad and this particular client, right? How about Cravat management? Seeing there was a need in the market, not avoiding it, not pushing the idea around and pushing it to the curb, but instead seeing an opportunity and moving on it. No massaging the idea through department after department before taking action. I love that about Cravat Inc. You've heard me say that a bagillion times in the last year. And then there's the line itself, their entire line of furniture. It is, as Austin described, it is set up for maximum efficiency and benefit to you, the designer. It's truly the case with the entire CuratedCravat.com line. What do we say all the time? Design, click, delivered, right? And you heard Austin say how simple it was to switch features on the different pieces. Nail heads in, nail heads out, different arm, different leg, whatever you want. It's available. You can just switch it up and customize it to yourself. You simply enter it all into the computer and you get an immediate quote. You can't beat that. It is designed intuitively for your benefit and the benefit of your business. And it goes to the point. If you're going to do something, do it the very best you can, and that's what Cravat does. And finally, how much do you admire the expertise that Mary Ellen brings in curating a furniture line that they are producing? I mean, seriously, that's a talent. When Austin described how he literally made himself visualize all the pieces that she eliminated, and he was like, she was exactly right. And what do you guys call it? Edit, right? Edit, edit, edit. Don't you claim that as something that you pride yourself on being able to do? Well, we have had guest after guest on this program describe this experience with Cravat Inc. I remember Candice Olson talked about this in her episode number 74. She described the collaboration that she experienced in designing her fabric line and the conversations about which fabrics to include, which fabrics to leave out, and the thoughtful process in deciding these things. She really also truly expressed the particular expertise of the fabric designers in the same way that Austin expressed the expertise of Mary Ellen in the furniture design. The Cravat family and the management team know the value in having smart, talented people in place to do their job. I want you to look around at your firm. Do you have smart people in your firm? Do you have people that your clients talk this highly about? Do you have people that your clients respect their input and trust their advice and their suggestions? You need that. Everyone who comes in contact with your client represents you and your firm. Make sure that, just like Cravat, that those are people that you can rely and count on to represent you well. Now, before you go, hang in, because I want to tell you and remind you about the event we have happening 2 weeks from today, Wednesday, May 17th at Ethan Allen in New York City. I will be there with Barbara Viteri, the creator of Designer-Lebrity, and I will be hosting a panel discussion with Barbara herself, with Cheryl Eisen, her tapped Designer-Lebrity. Cheryl Eisen is an interior designer, luxury home stager, and founder of Interior Marketing Group here in New York City. She is known as the reigning prop princess of New York luxury real estate. She is regularly featured in publications including the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, Good Housekeeping Magazine, Vogue, and she's been on design shows on networks including NBC, CBS, and Bravo. Then we have Mikkel Walsh, who is our hot topic. And Mikkel Walsh has a ton of credits to his name, but some of them include The Steve Harvey Show and HGTV's Design Star Show. In 2016, he relocated to New York City and took on his biggest project yet, gutting and renovating a restaurant and bar in Harlem called B2 Harlem. And most recently, Mikkel joined the Harry Connick Jr. talk show on Fox Network, where he serves as the assistant art director. And then we have Barbara Viteri's potential, and this is Manuela Moriera. And I have to tell you, I love this kid. I know her. She is a doll, and she is truly a rising star in the industry. She works at Ethan Allen, and she is one of their top interior designers. In 2015 and 2016, she was the recipient of multiple awards, including Rising Star, Gold Spirit Award, and Design Excellence. Manuela has also been featured in Designers Today magazine and named one of the top 20 interior designers in New York by LuxPad. So this is going to be a heck of a lot of fun. Basically, basically what we're going to do is Ethan Hallen is very graciously hosting us. They are having, the refreshments and nibbles and all of that stuff. We're going to gather at 6:30 at night. We will talk a little and schmooze a little and get to know each other for a half hour. At 7 o'clock, I will gather these, headliners for you, and I'm going to hit them up with a couple of questions. We'll spend about a half hour doing that, and then we're going to open it up to Q&A for all of you, and you can ask them anything you want. And after about a half hour of that, we're going to, talk again and schmooze again and visit with each other. So Ethan Allen is hosting it. There is no charge. However, because of fire safety and all of that stuff, they are capping at 150 guests. If you are not on the Eventbrite guest list, I'm sorry to say you will not be allowed in. So they have been very specific about that, and they know how many loyal fans of the podcast we have out there, and they're just like saying, you have to be on the Eventbrite list. So to find that Eventbrite list, you can go to www.windowworks-nj.com/podcast, where it'll be there. Make sure you do get on that list. I'd love to see you. Make sure you tell me you're coming. I'd love to meet you. And again, I want to let you know that this event is really not strictly trade. So it is open to consumers. So if you have a mother, sister, somebody that wants to come with you, it's both public and trade, so they should not be intimidated or think that they're not invited. It definitely is facing both consumer and trade, so don't hesitate to bring your besties with you, even if they're not in the field. And I guess that's it. Just a reminder, windowworks-nj.com/podcast. I do want to say that there were at least a half a dozen new iTunes reviews in the last week. I had 2 or 3 new ones on the Canada iTunes, another 2 or 3 on the U.S. iTunes. And I just can't tell you how much I truly appreciate that. It is just so fabulous to hear from you exactly what it is that you like about the show. And that keeps me on my straight and narrow. And it keeps me doing the things that you like. So thank you, truly. Thank you very much for that. So I think that's it for today. I do want to thank you so much for tuning in and joining me today. And I hope you have an excellent day. Thank you for joining me again today for another episode of A Well-Designed Business. This podcast is a production of WindowWorks in Livingston, New Jersey, your trade resource for custom window treatments and awnings. Learn more about WindowWorks at www.windowworks-nj.com. All of our music is original music by Room 2 Productions. Please contact us if you want to learn more about original music for your business or your events.